Something I like to talk about on my channel quite often is the subconscious brain and how it rules our reality until we become aware of it. Um, Now, a way that I can explain this that you will understand, and I hope, is dominant energy. How many times have you seen somebody say something like, I know my worth and I know my value, but the people that they're constantly with are unavailable men, emotionally unavailable. They don't receive. They're, constantly doing, providing, and, holding the relationship together. Does that scream worth and value? No. That's what I mean by we could be so loud in reality and social media and our friends, and we can be so loud to them, but our dominant energy is what controls us and what rules us. So if I know my worth and my value, I'm screaming it, preaching it to the entire world constantly. But when people see me out, I'm with, people that don't even look like they should be with me. There's two totally different brackets here. Energetic brackets. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking like they don't even have anything to bring to the table. How many times have you seen women like that? Myself included. I've been in that dynamic before. I thought I knew my value. I thought I knew my worth. I thought I was all these things: wife material, great mom, this and that. But what I chose to get in a relationship with was someone who was not equally yoked. I've heard that term before, and I like it. It was not equal. There was a huge gap there, and that's because I didn't know my worth and my value. So I accepted things that were completely what I should not have accepted. But let me tell it, during that time, I don't accept these things. But I did. And you want to know why I did? Because I didn't truly understand my dominant energy. I thought me saying these things and me preaching these things and quoting these things on Facebook made me look like, I understood my worth. I understood, my value. I'm a top tier woman. I'm this, I'm that, I'm all these things. But the man that I chose reflected a completely different energy, because that's my dominant energy. My dominant energy was codependent on love, just wanted someone to be there, didn't want to be alone, needed the validation of, feeling like I was all these things, because to maybe that person, I was all these things because they could never see themselves in those experiences, we'll say. So I needed the validation of maybe, how do I say that? I needed the validation of people that were not on my level to confirm and validate me that the level I was on was good enough. That it was, I was doing something and it was good enough and it was, very interesting and this and that. I needed those opinions, thoughts, and whatever of people that were not on the same level as me to boost my ego, basically. I mean, if we're going to be 100% honest, this is called my paradigm shift. These are my experiences that shifted me into realities and versions I never knew existed. Now, once I understood the dominant energy of like, oh my gosh, I'm codependent on love. I don't want this kind of dynamic in a relationship. I don't want, this person to not communicate with me, make time for me, value me, any of these things. The way he's showing up is nothing what I want. So why am I allowing it? Oh, here's what I found. When I started to sit down and I thought about these things, oh, but I love him. Come on. That's not love. That's attachment. Because what you really want, and I'm talking to myself when I'm saying this, when I was going through this, what you really want, you want somebody that's so all about you, loves you to death, shows you off, provides emotionally, not financially, just financially, emotionally, physically, financially. You want top tier men, okay? We'll use worldly terms. That's what you really want. So why are you settling for this? Why are you accepting this when you know this is not what you want? That's not love. It is attachment. Now, 2, why are you attached? What in this dynamic am I attached to? Notice I'm not pointing the finger at the other person. I'm not now. I did at the time because I wasn't aware, but I want to preach it now to help other women step out of this, dynamic that you may be in. We're not pointing the finger at the other person. We are pointing it at us. Why are you accepting it? I found out it was attachment. Okay, what about this dynamic am I attached to? I figured out some very gut-wrenching things. I was attached to the validation of someone not on my level, just to prove that I was on a higher level, so to speak, a doing something with my life, so to speak, level. When I say higher, that's what I mean. I needed someone to just be there because I was codependent, because I didn't want to be alone. Being alone was very scary. Now, if you would have talked to me during this time, I would have swore up and down, I don't care to be alone. I'd rather be alone. But something in me, that dominant energy, was still attached to accepting the bare minimum, with barely any communication, with not showing up for me in the ways I want and need. That's the dominant energy that was ruling my reality, and that's what I accepted. So I had to break down that dominant energy and find out why, and why I was attached, and all these things. And it took a minute. It took a minute to understand and realize these things. But this goes into my next point of a woman's energy. What I did not realize in that time is I was constantly pouring into someone that was not pouring equally back into me, that was barely pouring into me, okay? This speaks volumes, okay? This is another, I know my worth and value, but the dominant energy is they're constantly pouring. They're not receiving back the same kind of energy. A woman's energy is so valuable because we create babies, okay? We have the birth of creation inside of us. When you understand that everything is energy, this is not a new agey thing, it's just science, okay? Everything has a vibration, everything is energy, everything is on its own frequency. When you realize the energy that you are vibrating at, okay, that's what you're going to attract, because that's your dominant energy. You can say things all day long of your human self, okay? You can preach on social media, you can talk to your friends, you can swear up and down, just like me, that you know your worth, you know your value, this and that, but your dominant energy will always reflect what is real. Not what you say, not what you do, not what you preach on social media. What is in your reality and what you are choosing is choosing you. Okay? So what I was choosing at the time was something that did not reflect my worth and value up here, okay? It's not what I truly wanted in a dynamic, in a relationship. So I had to break down that dominant energy. Now what happens is when I was pouring, I was depleting my own energy. I could not create the things that I wanted. I felt like I had financial blocks and I could not figure out why. Why aren't these things taking off? Why is my money messed up? Why am I, let's try to think of something else. Why, there were so many things, okay, that I realized, what is going on? Why is this happening? When you are constantly pouring into someone that is not equally pouring into you, you do not have the full energy to create the business that you want, to receive the financial, blessings and everything around that you want. You don't have enough energy because you're pouring too much and you're not getting energy back. So you're just ciphering energy for free. And again, when you realize that everything is energy, you will take it back. You will start to, like a rope, you will start to not tug a war, you will start to tug that rope back, and you start to pour it all into you. Now, what happens when you pour it all into you is all of a sudden things take off. All of a sudden you have all this creative energy. All of a sudden you can do all these things that you didn't have energy for like before. And it's so important that you realize where all your energy is going, where all your focus is going. Because what happened to me was I realized that I was pouring, and I didn't have enough energy for myself, even though I had all these things that I wanted to do and create and all these things. I just didn't have enough energy for them to execute them the way I wanted to, because too much energy was going somewhere else that I was not receiving the same. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. You know, the value of a woman's energy, pouring into people, money blocks. That's, you know, money blocks are an important thing, because I want you to look at why maybe things aren't taking off. Where's your focus and energy going? Is it going into something that is also pouring into you? That's a block in itself if it's not. And then harnessing mental strength. So somebody was in my inbox the other day and she said, I love your mind. Like, I wish I could just, you know, teach me how to be like you. I sat on that for a couple days, because what people do not see from the outside is I have went through the most transformational things ever. And when I say transformational, they were very heartbreaking. No one chooses this path. Okay, nobody chooses it, because if you would have told me what I would have went through, I would not opt into to go through that experience. But you don't know these things. You don't know that they're going to happen. So I learned a lot by understanding what the subconscious was, understanding what my dominant energy was, understanding where all I was putting my time and energy, what I was focusing on, where I was pouring that was not pouring back into me, what attachments I had to people, places, or things. I went through a lot of heartbreak in a lot of areas, not just relationships, every area in life. I went through a lot of gut-wrenching, heartbreaking experiences, but it made me reflect back to me. It made me turn the finger back to me. I stopped pointing the finger at everybody else. Notice that when I'm teaching this now and what I'm sharing my experiences, because this is called my paradigm shift, I want to help someone with my experiences, because that's how I relate to others, being able to see their perspective and how they went through and overcame these things. The experiences itself puts you in different paradigms of like, I didn't know that, let me try that. You know what I mean? So I share these things because what's happened in my life is just it's so transformational and it's so crazy. But like, no one would choose that path. But I want you to notice how I'm not pointing the finger at the partner. I'm not pointing the finger at, or even labels. I'm not labeling the person as a narcissist or this or that. I see in the world today so much labels and names, and we're all wanting information. And I understand that, I get it. But when you're pointing the finger at someone else, you're not really growing. You're not learning at all. You have to revert back to yourself. You have to understand, why are you choosing it? Why are you accepting it? What part of you wants to feel seen? What part of you wants validation? What part of you needs to, you know, be the biggest in the room? What part of you doesn't want to be alone, but you're screaming and preaching something completely different on the internet? I see it a lot. I see it all the time. So I hope that understanding your dominant energy, I hope I gave something to you today that makes you sit and reflect and think, because the mental strength, the mindset that I have now, I went through a lot of heartbreak, understanding, you know, kind of deconstructing all the things that I thought I knew about myself. These were very hard to comprehend and very hard to like break down. It may sound easy to you what I am explaining, But until you go through that experience and it is the gut-wrenching feeling of like, oh my God, it's me. It's me. Like, I am choosing that. I don't want to. So why are you? Figure it out. What attachment, what is attached to that person? What part of you is attached to just wanting to be in a relationship? For what? So you can feel safe? Even though it's not the relationship that you want, even though it's not the dynamic that you want, you just want to be, you just want to prove to social media that you're wifed up. You are draining yourself trying to prove to someone else or the rest of the world that like you're valuable. Look at me, I'm in a relationship, I'm always, booed up, I'm always wifed up, whatever. But the relationship is so draining in itself because it doesn't pour into you. You're trying to make us, as in the internet or the outside people, you're trying to make us believe that you are valuable. But on the inside of you, you don't truly understand your value. When you truly understand who you are, your time, your attention, your focus, what you give, sexual energy, when you understand those things, you don't give it to anybody. You're not afraid to be alone. You're not afraid to miss out on that. Maybe you went on a date with somebody and a few good dates and they were really good and you start planning your whole life with them and then you miss all the red flags because you just want to jump right in. You want to hurry up and get in a relationship so you can prove to the world that like, I'm a good woman. I'm wifed up. You're draining yourself. I've been there and I don't judge at all because everything I talk about, I have experienced, I have overcame, and my only wish is to help other people and women and anybody in these situations reflect back to them, understand their dominant energy so you can break that down and you can start living the life that you want, right? Attracting the people that you want, attracting the lifestyle that you want, attracting the, friendships, places, things. It all starts with your dominant energy. You cannot constantly point the finger at somebody else without reflecting back of why you are accepting it. What part of you needs love in that area? And that's another thing. When she said that, of course it was like, thank you so much, because I've been through so much, but at the very same time it's like no one would choose the path that I went down. No one would choose it. If you knew what I went through and the heartbreaking experiences that I have been through, if you knew that, you wouldn't choose that. Nobody would. But that's the beautiful part of the journey that I guess I chose, was those heartbreaking experiences and taking my energy and taking my power back from things that didn't pour into me cost me friendships, relationships, jobs. It cost me everything people know in reality to be true, to be real, to, you know what I mean? Like if I were to tell you right now, the road and the journey, the mind, okay, that you want to live like me, be like me. Yes, it's peaceful. Yes, it's very flowy. Yes, it's very, I've created the lifestyle that I have wanted, but I have worked so incredibly hard to take back my energy and to understand my dominant energy, to transform that, then start taking back my energy from all these things. It cost me jobs. It cost me people, friendships. It cost me relationships that I thought I'd be in for forever. Do you really think you could sit down and do that immediately if I told you that? No, because if you told me that 4 or 5 years ago, I would be completely heartbroken. Like, I do not choose that path. I do not want to go down that path. No, never mind. Because what I want and what I like was comfortable. To be honest, it was comfortable. But what I did not know is the journey that I went on, it made me turn everything back to me, but it made me give myself the love I was seeking from everywhere and everything else. So the mind, the mental, the harnessing of the mental strength that I have, it cost me everything. But it showed me to give the love to myself, to turn it around, find, what part of me needs love so I can give it to myself, so I don't have to rely on or be codependent on a people, person, place, or thing to give it to me. it's a lot to go down this kind of journey. And it's, you know, growth, the growth minded, I see that a lot too. You know, this kind of fixed and growth mindset culture. I'm so grateful and glad that like we're on it, right? But the growth journey is incredibly rewarding, but it is not a quick fix. It is not short. It's a journey for the rest of your life, and you will constantly find things that will come up that you will be like, oh my God, I did not know that, you know, this wasn't actually love, that this wasn't actually benefiting, you know, a mutual energy exchange, that this wasn't actually the place where I was supposed to be because maybe my passions have changed, or, you know, I outgrew this. The growth journey literally pulls you out of your comfort zone. And when you've been in your comfort zone for 30 years, it's going to be incredibly hard. It is, but it's worth it. It's worth it because you give all that love back to yourself. You become someone unrecognizable to everyone in your reality, and then you get the messages. Teach me to be like you. How do I get, you know, the mind like yours? I don't know if you're really ready for that answer, but I will show you if you want to know. So yeah, that's kind of where my episode was at today. And I'm going to be a little more consistent in uploading because I've been in feminine energy for a really long time, but I had to go through that to experience what that felt like. Prior to this, I was in masculine energy, like most, if not all of my like teenage and adulthood. And then the last maybe year or two, I've kind of understood what feminine energy was, and I've been more relaxed, more flowy, no schedule, no routine. But you know, I need that masculine energy as well. So being able to experience both, now this is my kind of next phase of my journey to balance both of them and know when to use feminine, when to use masculine. So yeah, I'm gonna be a little more using my masculine energy with scheduling, with drive and not necessarily motivation, but like getting stuff done. I need to get this stuff, you know, on a consistent routine basis. Flowing and feminine energy is super fun and relaxing, and I love it so much, but I also need my masculine energy to balance it and get shit done so, you know, I can continue living the life that I want. So that's where my episode is at today. I hope it helped someone out there. You guys can chat with me on the podcast. If you did not know, if you're on Apple and Spotify, there's like a little button that says like chat with me. I'd love to hear you guys's thoughts, experiences, or maybe kind of what else you would like me to talk about, because I have so much up here in this brain that I think about and would love to get it out here on the podcast. And then also on YouTube, if you follow me on YouTube, you can just comment and reply with me directly. So I will see you guys next week.